I just feel like I've kind of lost my way.
Deep breath, touch the head.
Show me what it's like to be circling among the clouds.
Dior, I love you. I'm leaving to go overseas. This is my first year playing. Everything I do is for you and your mom. And I can't wait to come back and see you.
Good morning. It is February 10th, 8:50 a.m. and last night I had a ton of cramping, still having a ton of cramping, and it looks like I'm losing my mucus plug. So, I don't know. Could be false labor, could be early labor. Who knows?
Action. There's a lot of pressure. Some oils. Will you get us some oils? Deep breath, touch the head. Touch how much.
You got it, honey.
He's right there.
He's right there.
You're about to meet your baby. He's right there. Yeah. Alright. Keep tension on that baby. He's right there.
And there's your baby. You did it, Mama. You did it, Mama. Oh my God. You did it, honey. What about you? Welcome home!
You got it. Be so strong. What are you doing, little man? You chilling? Hi, Dior. Hi, Bubby. You so silly. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. As you can tell by the title of today's video, I wanted to come on here and talk to you about my birth, life updates, what's been going on. I have always come back to my YouTube. I want to do my YouTube. I'm gonna do my YouTube. So I actually had a video that I was gonna upload talking about my third trimester, but somehow the footage got completely deleted. Don't know where it is, so that's gone. So here we are. Dior, that is the name of my baby boy. He is 7 weeks old, so I'm 7 weeks postpartum. He's actually going to be 8 weeks this next weekend. 2 months old, that's wild. But yeah, I posted a small snippet of my birth story on my Instagram, and you can want to go check that out. On here, I kind of wanted to talk about my experience as far as prepartum care at the birthing center, because I know a lot of people want to know about that, how my actual birth went, postpartum, all of that stuff. So let's just jump right in. So first I want to talk about why I decided to choose a birthing center over a hospital birth. Number one reason was that I have never been in hospital. like, I've been in the hospital for someone else, but I've never been in the hospital for myself. I've never laid in a hospital bed. And to be honest, they scare me. I'm not a big fan of them. And just thinking about going into that and having a bunch of people that I may have never met before around me, like while I'm giving birth, didn't sit well with me. And each person is different, so some people may have been in the hospital plenty of times and it's like no big deal, but it honestly was a big deal for me. So I decided that I was gonna go and try to get into a birthing center. So I found one locally and I set up like an initial meeting. And the way a birthing center works, or the way my birthing center worked, is you pay up front for the birth and everything, and like your care, prepartum care, all of that stuff. They do all your appointments, everything, and you pay for that. And then, so anyways, you pay up front, and then when you actually have the baby, you don't have anything to owe. At least that was how it worked for me. So I really like that part, because I know like getting a big hospital bill at the end was like a big deal that I heard a lot of people talk about. And of course, before you can get accepted into a birthing center, like I said, this is from my personal experience. I'm not speaking on all birthing centers. I'm just telling you my experience. You had to like have a clean bill of health. I did have 2 appointments, pregnancy appointments and ultrasounds before I actually went to the birthing center, because I was still living in Houston. So they transferred that over, saw that it was a healthy pregnancy, everything. So therefore I was accepted, and you have to do a bunch of paperwork. And like I said, if you sign up, actually I didn't say this, I don't know why I said like I said, but if you do a birthing center, of course, like make sure you have a plan B. They let you know that, you know, if anything, any complications arise or whatever, they have you pick the nearest hospital, or they tell you what hospital they are in associations with, and usually your midwife and your doula, whoever you have on your team, will go with you at that point. So just because you sign up to do a birthing center and plan on that doesn't mean that that is going to happen. You know, you want to be safe at the end of the day. So there you have it. So anyways, that was a really scary part for me, because I was thinking of like worst case scenarios, like, am I making the right decision by doing this? Is this the safest decision for me and my baby? But I just kind of trusted my gut and trusted that I'm healthy, young, and like this is something that I really wanted to do. So looking back at it now, I literally have no regrets. It's literally the best decision I think I've ever made. To be honest, my care prepartum was so good. Like the women, the midwives are so unbelievably great, like so thoughtful. They never made me feel like I had a bad question or a stupid question, or, you know, they always made me feel so heard and so like supported. And that is like a huge thing, especially because if you don't know, I do have my partner overseas. He's finishing up his basketball season. He's coming back very soon, which thank goodness. But for most of my pregnancy, I was all by myself. So having their support and that type of like care was so incredibly important, like 100%. So anyways, like I said, the same place where I gave birth, that's where I went for all my appointments and everything. So it was really cool getting to know like all of the midwives, because on the day you give birth, you don't have one doctor, it's whoever, or one midwife, it's whoever is on call that day. So getting to know each and every one of them, and they made sure that like at each appointment I had like a different midwife, so I got to know all of them in this scenario that I would be giving birth with them. Another requirement from the birthing center was that I get a doula. And if you don't know what a doula is, basically it's just a person to help you in having a natural birth. They prep you for natural birth. Midwife is there for you and the baby in the delivery, but your doula is kind of like your support person. They're kind of your coach. And since this was my first baby and I had never done a natural birth, obviously, because it's my first baby, they highly suggested and pretty much required me to have a doula. They saw that with the doula, there was a much higher success rate in actually having a natural birth. So I did what they said. I got myself a doula and she was amazing. She met with me 2 times before I actually gave birth, and then she was there at the birth, and then she also came by after for a postpartum visit. So that leads me into what I did to actually prepare for birth, which when I tell you my birth story, this is, I feel like these things that I did in preparation for the birth is the reason why I had the birth that I did, which was very fast, easy. I have nothing to compare it to, so I feel like as my first time like giving birth, it was fairly easy. So anyways, things that I did to prepare was, one, my doula. My doula helped me get set up with a type of birth preparation. I chose to do hypnobirthing, which is a type of breathing exercise. There's lots of different ones. There's also classes that you can take, but I basically downloaded a app and it had like the I don't know what you call it. It had like a playlist of like the different breathing exercises and things like that. So that's something I did every night before bed. I also had a birthing ball where I did pelvic things around 35-36 weeks is when I really turned up the labor preparation. I was doing my hypnobirthing every night, practicing my breathing. I was doing the ball with the pelvic tilts, going back and forth, side to side, circles, and then bouncing. And also I was doing curb walking, which if you don't know what curb walking is, basically you find a curb, you're walking, and you step up on the curb and then back down, up and back down. I don't know. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You step on the curb with one leg and then you do both legs back and forth. So I did that. That helps the baby get into position, I believe. All of these help the baby get in the right position, and I think it helps loosen your pelvic floor. I don't know. These were just things that I was recommended to do by my midwives and my doula. So I was doing that. I was trying to move, like exercise at least 30 minutes a day. Whether that be the curb walking, whether that be me bouncing on the ball, just doing something. I was also doing like different stretches and things like that to help with my pelvic floor and lower back. Moving into other things I was doing, around 36 weeks, I was suggested by my midwives to start eating 6 dates a day, along with taking an evening primrose oil. I took 2 in the morning and then inserted 2 at night. And then I was doing a 5-week tenor, which is like an Amish concoction. I don't know. I will put like a picture of it here if I can find it, but they had it at my birthing center and suggested that I was taking that every day. I was also taking a labor prep, which had a raspberry leaf tea supplement. Instead of drinking it, I would just take it in a pill. And then what else was I doing? I think that's it. Yeah. So the dates, the evening primrose oil, the labor prep, and the 5-week tenor. And I believe that in combination of the exercising and all of that is what led me to only have to push for around 30 minutes and have only a 1st-degree tear, as well as a fairly fast labor. So I was pushing for 30 minutes and I was probably in labor for around, active labor for around 3 hours. Yeah. Now into my birth story, I actually didn't know I was in labor until he was practically coming out, and things were moving very quickly, but I will give you a rundown of how things went. So y'all are just gonna have to bear with me. Like, I'm all by myself. I have nobody to pass the baby off to, so he's with us. He got to be with us, and he got to eat. So my labor started on a Thursday. I was not aware that this was the start of labor, but it was. I started spotting, and then Thursday night, technically Friday morning around 1 a.m., I started cramping. Nothing serious, just like some period cramps that would come and go at random. And that went on until 8 p.m. Friday night. I was by myself, so around noon, my mom was like, okay, you've been cramping for a long time. I'm going to head up because, you know, she felt like things were happening. So I was in contact with my doulas and midwives throughout this whole process. And because I had been cramping for so long, they suggested that I go ahead and come in, and they wanted to check on the baby and check on me just to make sure everything was okay. So they ran vitals on baby for around 30 minutes and everything was fine. His heartbeat was great. And there I was having these cramps, which were, at the time, I didn't know, contractions. They were just very far apart and very irregular. So it was either false labor, early labor. Come to find out it was early labor, but we weren't sure. It could have been false labor. So my midwife suggested to go home, take some Unisom, which is a sleeping pill, and some Tylenol. A lot of birthing center, well, let me just speak on my experience. My birthing center, as well as my doula, felt that it's best to birth at home for as long as possible, because when you're birthing at home, or at least is what they told me, when you're at home and you're in your own space, labor progresses faster because you're comfortable and you feel safe. The second you leave that space, your labor is going to slow down because, I don't know, just think about it. Like, we're mammals, and like in the wild, if you were like uncomfortable and felt unsafe, instinctually your body's not going to let you have a baby in that circumstance. So they want you to labor at home for as long as possible because that is the place that you're going to progress the fastest. So they're like, go home, try to get some sleep, and you know, call us if anything changes or anything happens. So I went home, I immediately laid down, and could not sleep. The Unisom did not work, and the Tylenol was not working. Okay, we put Dior on his play mat, and he's gonna play for a little bit. But anyways, so the Unisom and Tylenol did not work. Therefore, I was up like every hour going to the restroom, having to go pee. And around, because of all the pressure, it made me feel like I just constantly had to go pee, even if I didn't. So around 1 a.m. I got up and felt like a gush, but it wasn't anything big. It was like a little bit. And so I was like, well, it could have been my water, but like I was very unsure. So I like, my mom was asleep on the couch, and I was like, Mom, I think my water just broke. And she was like, oh my gosh, really? So she was like, call your midwife. Called my midwife. My midwife was like, okay, we don't know. It could have been your water. It could have been, sorry if I'm looking over here. I'm just watching him. It could have been your water, or it could have been just pee, because, you know, you might be getting to that point where you can no longer hold it. So I was like, okay, that makes sense. And she was like, do you feel like you can go back to sleep? And I was like, yeah, okay. So I was like, okay, I wasn't in agony, I was in pain, but it wasn't like, I was like, I'm just having like pelvic pain. Like it hurts, but it's nothing like too serious. So I try to go back to sleep, and I do, and I'm still getting up like every hour, and that same thing is kind of happening where I'm leaking, and around like 4 a.m. I think from this point on things get very blurred because I don't really know what was happening. I didn't have my phone, I didn't know what time it was. My mom was kind of keeping track of all of that. So she started timing my contractions because they were getting a little bit more intense. Bless you, baby. They were getting a little more intense. So at this point I call my doula and I'm like, I'm in labor. And then I call Devin, my partner, and I'm like, I'm in labor. He's still overseas. Thankfully, we moved his flight because he was supposed to come home that next weekend in order to make my due date, which was on the 19th. But we moved his flight up to that following Monday. It's Friday now. Well, Saturday morning at this point. So I think that I was in denial before that too, because he wasn't here and I didn't want to go through with it without him, but you know, God's timing. So we call my doula and she's like on the phone with me. She's like, okay, I'm coming. And then when I'm on the phone with her, my contractions are getting closer and closer together, and they're getting a lot more intense, to the point where I'm on the phone with her and I'm having the urge to like push each contraction. And like, it's not something that I was expecting at all. Like, I thought when you see the movies and they're in the hospital and they're like, push, I thought it was just like you had to push. But no, your body will like start pushing the baby out without your consent. Like, there is no stopping it. So she's like, she hears that and she's like, okay, I'm gonna need you to hang up and call your midwife after this contraction. So I get through the contraction, hang up, call the midwife. The midwife, okay, like she's at home because she's on call. So she's like, okay, I'm 30 minutes away. Like, how far away are you? I'm like, I'm 15 minutes away. And she like is hearing my contraction. She's like, don't push, stop pushing. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try. Like, I don't know what to tell you. Like, it's just happening. Like, I'm not trying to. So, I was really trying not to, but I really couldn't. Like, I was still pushing. Like, I couldn't resist it. And, so we are like, do we wait for the doula to get here so we can all go together? Like, we were in that lingo because we were like, wow, things are progressing fairly quickly. And like, we need to get somewhere where we can have the baby. So my doula ends up going to the birthing center, and then we end up like hurrying up, trying to get me dressed, get out the door. In the car, we're like on the phone with my midwife. She's like, stop pushing. She's like, I'm here. Let me know when you guys are pulling in so that I can come out and get you. So we pull in, she comes out and gets us. My doula had actually started to come to the apartment because she didn't know like what was going on. So she had to turn around, come back to the birthing center. And then I get inside, drop my pants, like lay down. She's like, okay, you can't push until we like check your cervix. So checking my cervix, and she's like, okay, you're fully gone. Like, go ahead and push, like do your thing, girl. So pushing every contraction, and within like 30 minutes Dior was born. So we got there around 6:15, and he was born at 6:45 a.m. on February 11th. 6 pounds 6 ounces, 21.2 inches, I think. Yeah, or it's 20, I don't know, girl, 21. And yeah, I was literally so shook, like so shocked. Thankfully, Devin, my partner, was able to be on FaceTime and like see it. He apparently was like trying to talk to me. I literally was so zoned out, like insane, wild, best experience of my life. I tell people that I thought it was gonna hurt more, but Not to say that it didn't hurt, I just think I thought it was gonna hurt more, and maybe there was so much adrenaline, and maybe like looking back on it, I can't remember exactly what happened or how it exactly felt, because it's just like you're so locked in and it's so intense. And to be honest, I didn't use any of my hypnobirthing like soundtracks. I was using my breathing exercises though, and that was very helpful. But yeah, I was supposed to like have a water birth and like all this stuff and have like pictures taken and this whole birthing team, but like none of that went to plan, which is okay, because I'm so thankful for the way it happened, because I feel like if I would have known that I was in labor for the whole day before, I would have like psyched myself out and like gotten scared and like, you know, all those feelings. So I'm really thankful for the way that it did happen. So yeah, that's the birth story. Now getting into kind of what happened after and like early postpartum, we can get into that. So immediately after birth, you have to give birth to the placenta, which is a very strange feeling. It is very strange. And for me, I don't know, I'd love to hear y'all's stories if you have given birth, natural birth, or I'd love to hear birth stories in general. I'm very intrigued because now that I've gone through it, I love hearing everyone else's stories. So anyways, I have to give birth to the placenta, which is weird. And then I had a 1st-degree tear, small one, and they had to stitch me up after, obviously. And that for me was the worst part, because I was just like ready to close my legs and like be done and like sit up. I was in a lot of pain and just very, very, very uncomfortable afterwards, like after the adrenaline stopped, and I was like shaking. I was shaking a lot. Also, for the girls who know, maybe this is TMI, but I want to say it because I feel like you shouldn't be afraid of it. Like, it happens, it's natural. Like, I did poop while giving birth, but it is totally natural. A lot of people, it happens. Like, girl, it happens. So whatever, it happened. And I was definitely like, and they're like, it's okay, like, don't worry about it, it's fine. I was like, okay. But anyways, that happened. So whatever, the stitching up was like the worst part, but something really like fun and cool about a birthing center, at least my birthing center. If you guys want to know like what birthing center I went to, just for like safety reasons, I'm not going to tell you, but if you DM me, like, I'll let you know where I went if you're wanting to like know. But they were like, hey, we have cinnamon rolls, like, do you want us to make you some cinnamon rolls? Because it was like 6:45 in the morning, and I was like, oh my god, yeah. So literally they made me cinnamon rolls, and like while I was being stitched up, my doula was like feeding me cinnamon rolls, and I don't know, I just really like that moment. But anyways, so they stitched me up and I get to sit up with the baby and everything. And another cool thing is like he immediately like latched onto my breast. It was like so incredible how they know how to do that. Sorry, I ran out of storage. I need to get a camera ASAP. It's gonna happen. Anyways, so when you're done giving birth, they have to push on your stomach to see if you're having any hemorrhaging, I believe, to see if your uterus is softening or hardening. I think that they want it to be hard. I don't know. Don't take my word for that. But I just know that they have to push on your stomach. And when they do, that's very uncomfortable. And like, yeah, it's just very uncomfortable. Also, at my birthing center, you are allowed to go home 4 hours after birth, which I know at a lot of hospitals you have to stay there, whatever. Or maybe it's up to you. Maybe you are allowed to go home. But I do know that they allowed me to go home 4 hours later. I think I actually ended up going home 3 hours later. All I had to do was use the restroom, go pee. I didn't have to go poop. I didn't go poop another TMI, but like these are the things that I wanted to know. So like I'm keeping it real, you know. I was scared to go poop, but I didn't go poop until like the second day, I think, or second or third day, and it really wasn't bad at all. Like I didn't take any stool softener, like it wasn't bad at all. So I had to use the restroom, and something really cool at my birthing center is they allowed me to, once I was able to like get up without passing out or anything like that, I drank lots and lots of water after birth. They also gave me this tea that helped with the cramping, because I was feeling like really, really crampy, especially after he had finished like latching. So they gave me this cramp tea, and then I was able to take an herbal tea bath with my baby, which was so cool. I'll insert some pictures here. And that was very, very cool. I didn't stay in there long because it is hot and you're kind of like, so that was nice. And then once I got out of the herbal tea bath, we just went through some paperwork, and they were like, you're good to leave. They did his newborn exam. They checked my vitals every 30 minutes. And his too, I think. They did 2 newborn exams, I believe. And they weighed him, got all his measurements, made sure everything looked good. And then I was able to change him, and we were on our merry way. And it was literally like the coolest day ever. Like just to have a baby in the morning, and then just have your whole day like just with your baby. But yeah, then that started my breastfeeding journey, which I can talk about in a different video. And I can also talk about my postpartum. I was going to do another video mentioning some of my favorite products and stuff that I've been using. But yeah, I just wanted to come on and update you guys. Like, I have given birth. You guys should go follow me on Instagram, because I definitely update that way more than I do YouTube. But I'm gonna try to be a little bit more consistent on YouTube. I do feel like I know where my content is going and what I want to share with you guys. So yeah, I don't know, join this new motherhood journey with me, and yeah, I'll see you on the next one. That's my cue.